There's times that you might be right and you should still shut the up and be cooperative. Probably on the other side, there's probably times that you're probably wrong, but if you're adamant about making a point, you might still get what you want. There's might be the extremes of behavior, but if you can get outcomes consistently, other people who desire similar outcomes are going to follow your lead. Think about negotiations when you walk into a business where you're in foreign territory and they're in their home territory, and you take the place over and you tell them how things are going to be. Even the little, it's a little micro negotiation of getting a hotel room today from the hotel that's sold out is one of those type of things. Like those people are at their desk in their domain where they have authority to make decisions, et cetera, et cetera. And as far as they're concerned, when I start that conversation, I'm just some tourist schmuck. They don't know anything about me. I'm just some random dude. There's several hundred random dudes come through there every day at the front desk. Maybe 1,000 a day cycle through there. So when you can walk into a foreign environment where other people are in their domain and you're the stranger and get the things that you want consistently, there's some skill to that. And when other people, the leadership component of that, when other people in the environment see you do things like that consistently, consciously or subconsciously, they're taking notes. And if you get outcomes consistently, if you get quality outcomes consistently, people are going to be happy to follow your lead, as they should. As they should. If Warren Buffett was here, he hasn't called me and asked to be a guest speaker yet, unfortunately. If Warren was here, I'm not going to argue with Warren about anything. I might disagree. But am I going to spend our time together arguing about some trifle that we disagree about? Or should I focus on learning what I can from him and focus on the points that would be most useful? I'm not going to argue with the guy. He's 90-something years old. Does he want to spend time arguing with anybody? Probably not. Probably not the best use of his time. So, there's times that you might be right and you should still shut the up and, be cooperative. And probably on the other side, there's probably times that you're probably wrong, but if you're adamant about making a point, you might still get what you want. And somewhere in there, there's might be the extremes of behavior, but if you can get outcomes consistently, other people who desire similar outcomes are going to follow your lead. The success gods don't care about your feelings at all, but they do highly reward people that show up consistently and engage in productive behaviors. I joke about it, but it's 100% true. I'm not saying it just as a joke. Once or twice a month, I wake up and I'm like, I don't feel like doing blah, blah, blah. And I just laugh at myself. It's like, I find it sincerely humorous because that's a very human thought that I'm having. I'm just waking up. You're a little emotional. You're getting your bearings for the day. And you're like, oh man, I got to do that thing. I don't feel like getting choked by the heavyweight champion right now. And then you laugh about it. So but that's what we're doing today. The success gods don't give a shit about my feelings. If I want to have good outcomes, that's what I'm supposed to do right now. Okay. The quicker you can get away from one of these thought loops of, something negative is happening, I'd like to avoid it, and then you start doing like an evaluation of potential excuses. You start saying, if I said blah 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 blah, if I said my fucking dog ate the homework, then I wouldn't have the thing. I could get an extension on the deadline. If I said my mom died for the 3rd time this month, my teacher would give me an extension, maybe. Amazing how many people get a flat tire or the car breaks down. Amazing how many people have a story like that when something inconvenient pops up. So, we got a flat tire. I had a contractor guy tell me fucking 3 times in a month that I couldn't deliver something because his truck had a flat tire. Oh, the stuff was on the truck, Derek, but he had a flat tire. I'm like, I don't have a flat tire 3 times per decade. Who has a flat tire 3 times in a decade? Do any of you? Not one. Buy some fresh. Stop driving on bald tires. Buy some. Nah, who knows? Now he's assigning blame elsewhere, externalizing blame. I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine a flat tire 3 times in a month. How does that happen? So anyway, you start looking for excuses, and the sooner you just close that gap in time from procrastination, searching for excuses that would be suitable for the context of what you're trying to avoid, et cetera, negotiating with yourself to have a lesser life, you could just be like, nah, but I don't feel like it, but I'm also not. So let me go take care of that thing right now. In fact, let me do more of it than I originally planned to punish myself for having this thought. Let me go do more than I originally anticipated. And the more you strengthen those neural pathways, it's easier to go do tough things after that, because it's just routine. It's not a negotiation anymore. It's just expected. Like, oh yeah, when I wake up, I'm doing the thing. Okay. And you don't have all these gaps in your thoughts to procrastinate, to try to, negotiate a lesser life for yourself. Do you understand what I say when I'm saying negotiate a lesser life for yourself? Do you know that internal mechanism? It's like, oh, I could just do it later and have worse outcomes in life. I could do it tomorrow. I'll just do it to this level instead of that level, because that last 20% is really hard. You all had those internal talks with yourself, yeah? Yeah. But don't you feel kind of like, even when you're having that talk with yourself? Yeah. So the sooner you have the awareness of that, of like, oh, I'm having one of those, conversations with myself again. Do I want to have bitch-ass outcomes or like champion outcomes? Look, you're not going to be a champion at everything. So you got to decide the few areas that you want to put in the extra work. You're not going to be fucking amazing at everything. You're not going to be world class at everything, but you could be at 2 or 3 things maybe. You could be best in the world at something, or you could be extraordinary at 3 or so things. So, you have to have those conversations with yourself on some level, but the sooner you close that gap of even having those conversations of downgrading your outcomes, to be like, man, for the amount of effort spent procrastinating and what that does to your self-esteem, you could just get the damn thing done. You could have got up and just done the thing. So just get in the habit of that as best you can. And then, you'll be working on that for your whole life, but does it make sense? Yeah. I don't tell anybody how to live their life. Get as much money as would give you, you should still have an abundance that you're not going to run out of money in your 70s. It sucks more than being poor right now. It's like being poor when you're old. Old and poor sucks. Old and poor is no fun. That. And all sorts of shit's going to happen in our lifetime yet. All sorts of shit's still going to happen in our lifetime. Some of it's quite frightening. Those are things that you can imagine and anticipate now. Then there'll be some more frightening shit that you don't even know about yet. But it's coming. So better to have too much than not enough. You're never going to wake up one day in the future and be like, I wish I was dumber than I am. I wish I was poorer than I am. You're not going to do that. It's not possible. So better to have too much than not enough, especially when you're have the momentum of building wealth. No reason you'd want to stop that momentum. But again, it could be the transition that I've talked about for years, is a transition from employee to entrepreneur, the transition from entrepreneur to investor over time. And it's been a weird, the last couple of years has been, you see even my language stutters a little bit, where it feels awkward for me to talk about, but like, I'm a lot more of an investor today than I am an entrepreneur. I'm much less concerned about entrepreneurship. I don't run this business in a way that maximizes profits. I run the business in a way that I actively alienate a lot of people. Very intentionally alienate a lot of people that I just don't want to be around those type of people. Because I wouldn't be here at 1 a.m. talking to them if there are a bunch of people in the room that I don't like. I'd have 4 titties on my face in the penthouse up there instead. So I can spend my time with, late at night because it's, what are you smiling about, Lydia Ann? Something I say piqued your attention?
Perhaps.
All right. Well, I'd be doing something else and not talking to that group if it wasn't a group of people that I enjoyed spending time with. So I think, whatever that is for you, make sure you have an abundance. You have more than enough. And be able to live your life how you want to. It's weird for a young man to not want to, do better. Yes, sir.
It's easier to get a new girlfriend than to make $5 million.
I don't need to say anybody's names, but even some of the fighters, tell me, some of them are quite interesting stories of like, well, I tried to talk to this or that girl. I met this celebrity girl at a party, and she wasn't very interested in me. And, a year later, I had that belt around my waist, and she was hitting me up, trying to get together. So, I mean, that's the nature of women. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. There's a lot of things right with that. It would be, if you had, for those of you that have daughters or would have daughters in the future, wouldn't you like your daughter to be, she's going to be sleeping with somebody. Would you like her to be sleeping with some bum? Or would you like her to be sleeping with a guy who's, superior in many ways to the other guys? There's nothing wrong with that. But, women tend to like to be around resourceful men. And when women see social resources, she knows that financial resources are not far away. So when women see social resources, they know that, like, oh, that guy can get me access to a lot of cool shit that even her as a hot girl can't get access to herself. So there's layers and layers and layers of that conversation. But winning gets you access to more winning and more winning and more winning. And you're going to have a lot of perks in life. Going to be a lot of perks in life for doing that. So it's worth the effort.
Some people are confused. They say, Derek, what is the 10 Commandments of wealth? Not the 10 maybes of wealth. It's the 10 core things that you're going to need to know about in detail if you'd like to accumulate significant wealth in your lifetime. Click this link up here to find more information, exactly what is the 10 Commandments of Wealth, how is the program structured, what's inside of it, how are you going to benefit from it. If you're doing well already and you'd like to do better, click that link and find out more. There's over 100 hours of content in this program. I've interviewed dozens of world champions that shared what it took for them to win, to be the top Hall of Fame athletes in their respective areas. And I brought a lot of other superstars in there from business, people that are real world entrepreneurs that made serious money, as I have myself. We all share with you what are the foundations you're going to need to know if you want to be successful yourself. Be a chooser, not a loser. Leave a comment if you want a business or success question answered, and subscribe for even more winning.